There are some points where I have trust issues among people. This movie just doesn't help at all. This is John Carpenter's The Thing, which, along with Escape from New York, was one of his big follow-ups after Halloween from 1978. So this movie came out in 1982 and is a remake of the Howard Hawks produced film The Thing from Another World. And The Thing from Another World to John Carpenter is pretty much what the original King Kong was to Peter Jackson. Both those movies were influential to each filmmaker, and then each filmmaker got to make their own remake, which both of them are considered to be one of the best remakes ever made. But the plot for The Thing follows a group of scientists in Antarctica who are suddenly attacked by this mysterious alien creature that can take the shape of any living organism within sight, whether it be a dog or another human. So it makes things a little more intense among the crew members on who can you actually trust and what is this thing. Like Dawn of the Dead, I have to admit, I had just watched The Thing for the first time, and I feel a little more positive about this movie than I did Dawn of the Dead. Because unlike Dawn of the Dead, I have not seen that many references in other works of fiction to The Thing, but I do know the basic gist of it, where a group of people are stuck in a claustrophobic environment with this creature that kills them off one after the other. So it's very similar to the movie Alien, except it takes place on Earth, but in the middle of Antarctica, it's still very much a claustrophobic environment. And that's one of the biggest strengths for this movie in terms of it being a horror movie, because it utilizes two themes from my two favorite horror movies ever, Alien and Jaws. Yes, Jaws is a horror movie. You don't make a movie that suddenly keeps people from going into the water for years or forever. So yes, it is a horror movie. Deal with it. Now that I got that out of the way, The Thing utilizes the universal fear of the unknown in Jaws. In this movie, we don't know what the true form of this alien creature is because it can take on the form of many living organisms that I mentioned before, but it also has a very unique way of transforming into other things. So we never get a clear idea of what the true identity of the thing is. And then, as I mentioned, it utilizes the fear of being in an isolated area with this thing trying to kill you, like in Ridley Scott's Alien. And with the characters themselves, they're not dumb at all. They all make smart and, to the best of their ability, logical decisions. Because with this thing running around and taking the form of some of the other crew members or even some dogs, you're never quite sure who to trust. And it just leaves you with an unsettling feeling that the thing could be anyone. Now, the special effects for The Thing are a milestone. I watched this movie knowing that it came out in 1982, and these practical effects just blow my mind. There are so many intricate parts to this creature, and you can hardly see any of the strings. All the movements look so smooth that it doesn't appear to be stop motion. There are some moments where I looked at it and go, yeah, that kind of looks like stop motion, but overall, it all looks real and on camera, so it just makes me wonder how they did all this, how they did all these special effects so flawlessly, and to make it look as unsettling as possible. And that's another thing with the special effects. They can be very unsettling. Like the very first time we see what this creature is able to do, it takes the form of a dog, but its head splits open, it starts like kind of morphing. It's just very gross. And it just makes you feel uncomfortable watching it because the special effects are that good and they look way too real. One thing that I'm not a big fan of with this movie is the score. Normally, I really love Ennio Morricone, mainly for his Western scores like A Fistful of Dollars and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But for some reason, his score with The Thing just doesn't really sound all that memorable. It doesn't really fit well with the film's atmosphere. If anything, I would have preferred if John Carpenter had done his own score like he did with Halloween, because he is the guy who's running the whole show, so I feel like a score from him personally would have been a little more effective with The Thing, but that's just a personal gripe. The score doesn't really do it for me, but on the whole, this is an amazing movie. Its milestone is in the special effects, just of how impressive they are, and it does deliver on some really great thrills. And also, the movie does have a very slow pace to it. Much like with Alien, the pace is slow just to build up the tension for when the actual thing pops up and starts morphing or killing people. And so I definitely say worth seeing in your lifetime. I think it may be because of the score that I'm not going to give it my get off your ass and go see it right now rating. But this is something that you absolutely have to see. It is truly one of the best horror remakes ever made. And there are points where it really did scare me. It's that effective of a horror movie. And that's my review for John Carpenter's The Thing. Now tomorrow I'm going to be taking a look at the first movie of probably the most insane horror trilogy ever made. So until then, I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on The Thing, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.